My brothers and sisters in the light, the Essenes had a code, a numerical code that governed every aspect of their financial lives. This code was so powerful that for over 200 years, not a single member of their community experienced poverty. Not one family went hungry. Not one person lacked what they needed. Not one child went without clothing. Not one elder was abandoned in their time of need. This code is called the 777, and today, for the first time, I am going to reveal it to you exactly as it was written in the scrolls found in the caves of Qumran. In 1947, when the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, scholars found documents that had been hidden for nearly 2,000 years. The scrolls were found in clay jars, preserved in the dry desert air, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Among those documents was something called the Community Rule. This was the handbook of the Essene community. It described how they lived, how they prayed, how they ate, and how they handled money. Hidden within this document was a pattern based on the number 7. The Essenes did not choose this number randomly. In the Hebrew tradition, 7 is the number of completion, of perfection, of divine order. God created the world in 7 days. The 7th day is the Sabbath, a day of rest and blessing. 7 appears throughout the scriptures at moments of great significance. 7 priests with 7 trumpets marched around Jericho for 7 days. Naaman dipped in the Jordan 7 times to be healed. Jacob worked 7 years for Rachel. The Essenes understood that 7 was not just a number. It was a spiritual frequency, a vibration that aligned human activity with divine purpose. When you operate in 7s, you synchronize your life with the rhythm of heaven. And they built their entire financial system around this frequency. The 777 code has 3 components. Each component contains 7 elements. When practiced together, they create a complete system that prevents poverty and attracts abundance. I am going to teach you all 3 components today. By the end of this video, you will have a complete blueprint for financial transformation. But first, you need to understand why this code works. The Essenes believed that poverty is not primarily a physical problem. Poverty is a spiritual condition. There is a spirit of poverty that operates in this world. This spirit attaches itself to individuals, to families, to entire generations. It creates patterns of lack that repeat over and over, no matter how hard people work, no matter how much they earn, no matter what strategies they try. You have seen this in your own life or in the lives of people you know. Some families seem trapped in a cycle of poverty that passes from generation to generation. They work hard, they try everything, but they can never break free. Meanwhile, other families seem to prosper no matter what happens in the economy. Opportunities come to them, doors open for them. They recover quickly from setbacks. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is not education. The difference is not luck. The difference is spiritual alignment. This spirit operates through ignorance. When people do not know the divine principles of provision, they unknowingly violate them. Every violation creates an opening. Every opening allows the spirit of poverty to take more ground. Over time, these openings become strongholds. The spirit of poverty establishes a legal right to operate in that family's finances. The 777 code closes those openings. It aligns your financial life with divine order. It creates a protective structure that the spirit of poverty cannot penetrate. The Essenes practiced this code for over 200 years. And for over 200 years, they lived in complete financial freedom, while the rest of the world struggled with the same problems you face today. Now let me reveal the first 7. The first component of the code is the 7 acts of release. The Essenes understood that poverty often persists because of spiritual attachments, things we hold on to that we should let go, debts we refuse to forgive, offenses we refuse to release, possessions we cling to out of fear. These attachments create blockages in the flow of provision. Money cannot come in because we are holding too tightly to what we have. The spirit of poverty uses these attachments as anchors to remain in our lives. The 7 acts of release must be performed in order, one each day for 7 consecutive days. Day 1, release a debt. If someone owes you money and cannot pay, forgive the debt completely. Speak it out loud. Say their name and say, "I release you from this debt." If no one owes you money, find someone who owes you something else. An apology, an explanation, a favor. Release them from that obligation. Day 2. Release an offense. Someone has hurt you. Someone has wronged you. Someone has spoken against you. On day 2, you release them. You do not wait for them to apologize. You do not require them to acknowledge what they did. You simply release them. Speak it out loud. Say their name and say, "I release you from this offense." Day 3. Release an object. Find something in your home that you are holding on to out of fear. Something you keep just in case. Something that represents scarcity thinking. Give it away. Not to the trash. Give it to someone who needs it. Let it go with blessing. Day 4. Release a worry. What financial fear keeps you awake at night? What scenario do you rehearse in your mind? On day 4, you release that worry to God. Speak it out loud. Describe the fear in detail and then say, "I release this worry. I trust in divine provision." Day 5. Release a plan. Sometimes our own plans block God's provision. We are so committed to our strategy that we cannot see the opportunities He is sending. On day 5, release your plan. Tell God you are open to His way, even if it looks different from what you expected. Day 6, release a timeline. Poverty thinking is impatient. It demands results now. It cannot wait. On day 6, release your timeline. Tell God you will trust His timing. You will not force outcomes. You will wait for His best. Day 7, release your outcome. This is the hardest release. On day 7, you release your attachment to specific results. You tell God that you want His will more than your will. You trust that His provision may look different from what you imagined, but it will be better. When you complete these 7 acts over 7 days, something shifts in the spiritual realm. The attachments that were anchoring the spirit of poverty lose their hold. The blockages that were preventing provision dissolve. The channels open. Before I continue with the second 7, let me share something important. What I am teaching today is just the beginning. The complete Essene wealth system has been compiled into a 21-day protocol. It is called the Essene Wealth Code, 21 Days to Financial Freedom. In this guide, you will find the daily rituals, the exact Hebrew words to speak, the purification practices, and the step-by-step protocol that the Qumran community followed. The link is in the description below. Now, let me reveal the second 7. The second component of the 777 code is the 7 declarations of abundance. After you have released what was blocking you, you must fill that space with truth. The Essenes understood that empty spaces do not stay empty. If you do not fill them with blessing, the spirit of poverty will return and fill them with curse. Jesus Himself taught this principle when He spoke of the unclean spirit that returns to find the house swept and empty. These 7 declarations must be spoken every morning for 7 days, immediately following the 7 acts of release. So on day 8 through day 14, you begin each day by speaking these declarations out loud, not in your head, out loud. The Essenes understood that spoken words carry power that thoughts alone do not have. When you speak, you create. When you declare, you establish reality in the spiritual realm. Declaration 1. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. I am a child of the Most High God, and His resources are unlimited. This declaration establishes your identity and your source. You are not an orphan scrambling for scraps. You are a child of the Creator of all wealth. Declaration 2. I am not a slave to poverty. I am an heir to abundance. What belongs to my Father belongs to me. This declaration breaks the slave mentality that keeps people trapped in lack. Many people, even believers, think of themselves as poor. They identify with poverty. This declaration changes your identity. Declaration 3. Money is a tool in my hands. It does not control me. I control it. I use it for divine purposes. This declaration establishes authority. Many people are controlled by money. They serve it, they fear it, they worship it. This declaration puts money in its proper place. Declaration 4. Provision flows to me from expected and unexpected sources. I am open to receive from every direction, the north, the south, the east, and the west. This declaration opens channels. Many people can only receive from sources they expect. They miss the provision God sends from unexpected directions. Declaration 5. I am generous because my Father is generous. What I give returns to me multiplied. I cannot outgive God. This declaration activates the law of sowing and reaping. Poverty thinking hoards. Abundance thinking gives. When you give, you create a vacuum that must be filled. Declaration 6. I am aligned with divine order. I operate in the rhythm of heaven. My finances reflect heavenly principles. This declaration establishes alignment. When you are aligned with heaven, heaven supports you. When you are out of alignment, you struggle against the current. Declaration 7. The spirit of poverty has no place in my life. My home is dedicated to abundance. My family walks in financial freedom for generations to come. This declaration evicts the enemy and establishes protection. You are declaring your home a no poverty zone. These declarations are not positive thinking. They are not affirmations in the modern sense. They are spiritual decrees. When you speak them, you are exercising authority. You are declaring truth over your life. You are filling the empty spaces with blessing before the enemy can fill them with curse. The Essenes spoke declarations like these every single morning, before they ate, before they worked, before they touched money. They aligned their minds with divine truth so that their actions would flow from that alignment. If you are finding value in these ancient secrets, take a moment to subscribe to this channel and tap the notification bell. Every week, I reveal another practice from the caves of Qumran. Subscribe now so you do not miss a single revelation. And I want you to do something right now. In the comments below, type, I follow the 7. When you type this, you are making a commitment to practice the 777 code. Type it now, I follow the 7. Now let me reveal the third and final 7. The third component of the code is the 7 practices of stewardship. Release clears the blockages. Declaration fills the space with truth. But stewardship creates the ongoing structure that maintains financial freedom permanently. Without stewardship, the release and declaration are temporary. The old patterns will return. The spirit of poverty will find new openings. These 7 practices are not done once. They are lifestyle changes that the Essenes maintained for their entire lives. When you adopt these practices, you create a permanent structure that the spirit of poverty cannot penetrate. You build walls of protection around your finances that stand for generations. Practice 1, the 7th part. The Essenes gave 1/7 of everything they received back to God, not a 10th like most people teach, a 7th. This is because 7 is the number of divine completion. When you give the 7th part, you acknowledge that everything comes from God, and everything belongs to God. You are simply a steward, not an owner. This practice keeps your heart free from the grip of money. It breaks the power of greed before it can take root. Practice 2, the 7th-day rest. The Essenes did not work on the Sabbath. They did not even think about money on the Sabbath. They did not check their accounts or worry about their debts or plan their financial strategies. 1 day in 7 was completely dedicated to rest and spiritual renewal. This practice broke the anxiety cycle that feeds the spirit of poverty. When you rest, you declare that God is your provider, not your own effort. Practice 3, the 7th-hour review. Once each day, at the 7th hour, the Essenes pause to review their finances. But not with anxiety or fear, with gratitude and praise. They counted their blessings rather than their problems. They acknowledged provision rather than complaining about lack. They expressed thanks rather than worry. This daily practice kept their minds aligned with abundance rather than scarcity. Practice 4, the 7th week examination. Every 7th week, approximately once every 2 months, the Essenes conducted a deeper examination of their financial lives. They asked hard questions. Where have I violated divine principles? Where have I allowed fear to guide my decisions? Where have I blocked the flow of provision through hoarding or stinginess? This regular examination prevented small problems from becoming large ones. It caught violations before they became strongholds. Practice 5, the 7th month reset. Twice each year, at the beginning of the 1st month and the 7th month, the Essenes conducted a complete financial reset. They forgave all debts within the community. They redistributed resources to ensure no family had too little while another had too much. They started fresh with clean accounts and renewed commitments. This practice prevented the accumulation of resentment and inequality that destroys communities. Practice 6, the 7th year release. Every 7th year, the Essenes practiced a more dramatic release. This was based on the Torah principle of the Sabbath year. Properties that had been sold were returned to original families. Those who had become servants due to debt were freed. All debts were canceled completely, not just among the community, but with outsiders as well. This practice prevented the accumulation of generational poverty. It ensured that every family had a chance to start over. Practice 7, the community covenant. The Essenes did not practice financial stewardship alone. They were bound together in covenant commitment. They shared resources freely. They supported each other in times of need. They held each other accountable for following the practices. No one accumulated excess while another member lacked necessity. This practice created a safety net that no individual family could create alone. It demonstrated that God's provision flows through community, not just through individual effort. These 7 practices created a complete system. Release cleared the past. Declaration shaped the present. Stewardship secured the future. Together, they formed the 777 Code that kept the Essene community free from poverty for over 200 years. Now, I want to tell you something important about implementing this code in your life today. You do not need to join a community in the desert. You do not need to give up your modern life. You do not need to become an Essene monk. But you do need to take this seriously. The 777 Code works because it addresses poverty at its root, which is spiritual. It is not a quick fix or a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a complete transformation of how you relate to money and provision. The reason most people stay poor despite their best efforts is that they address only the symptoms. They try to make more money without changing their spiritual alignment. They try to save more without releasing the blockages. They try new strategies without addressing the agreements that give the spirit of poverty legal access to their finances. The 777 Code addresses the root. It changes you from the inside out. When you change internally, your external circumstances must follow. This is a spiritual law as reliable as gravity. Start with the 7 acts of release. 1 release per day for 7 days. Do not skip any. Do not rush through them. Take each release seriously. Let it cost you something. Real release involves real sacrifice. If it does not hurt a little, you probably did not really release it. Then move to the 7 declarations. 1 week of speaking truth over your financial life every morning. Speak them out loud. Speak them with conviction. Speak them even when you do not feel them. Your feelings will eventually follow your words. Then begin implementing the 7 practices of stewardship, one at a time. You do not need to implement all 7 at once. Start with the 7th part giving. Then add the 7th day rest. Build the practices into your life gradually until they become second nature. Within 21 days, you will have completed the first cycle of the code. Within 3 months, the practices will become habits. Within 1 year, your entire relationship with money will be transformed. The patterns that plagued your family for generations will be broken. The spirit of poverty will lose its legal access. Provision will flow. The Essenes who discovered this code did not keep it for themselves. They taught it to everyone who joined their community. They believed that financial freedom was not meant for a select few. It was meant for all of God's children. That is why I am teaching it to you today. The scrolls were hidden for 2,000 years, but they were not hidden forever. They were preserved for a purpose. They were preserved for this generation. They were preserved for you. Let me tell you what happened to a family who practiced this code. A man came to the Essene community with his wife and 3 children. They had lost everything. His business had failed. Creditors were demanding payment. They had sold their home, their animals, everything of value. They were living on the charity of relatives who resented them. The man was broken. He had worked hard his entire life, but nothing worked. Every time he got ahead, something happened to push him back down. He began to believe he was cursed. The elders of the community listened to his story. They had heard stories like this before. They recognized the pattern. The spirit of poverty had established a stronghold in this man's family line. Perhaps his grandfather had made a vow of poverty. Perhaps his father had spoken words of curse over the family. Whatever the origin, the pattern was clear. The elders taught them the 777 code. For the first 7 days, the family practiced release together. On day 1, the man released a debt his brother owed him. He had been holding on to resentment about that debt for years. On day 2, his wife released an offense. Her mother had said cruel things about their poverty, and she had held on to those words like poison. They released objects they had been clinging to. They released worries that had kept them awake at night. They released plans they had been forcing. They released timelines they had demanded. On day 7, they released their outcomes to God completely. Tears were shed, burdens lifted, something shifted in the spiritual atmosphere around them. For the next 7 days, they spoke the declarations together each morning. At first, it felt awkward. The words seemed too bold for a family that had lost everything. How could they declare abundance when they had nothing? But the elders encouraged them. These are not lies, they said. These are truths that exist in the spiritual realm before they manifest in the physical realm. Speak them until you believe them. Believe them until you see them. By the 7th day of declarations, something had shifted. Hope had returned. Faith had awakened. The man's posture changed. His eyes changed. He was no longer a defeated beggar. He was beginning to see himself as a son of the Most High God. Then they began implementing the 7 practices. Even with almost nothing, they gave the 7th part of what they received. Even when they wanted to work every day, they rested on the 7th day. Even when it seemed foolish, they followed the practices. Within 3 months, the man found work. Within 6 months, his income exceeded what he had made in his failed business. Within 1 year, this family had not only recovered from their losses, but had more than they had ever had before. Not because they accumulated wealth through greed, but because they had aligned themselves with divine order. Provision flowed naturally when the blockages were removed and the channels were open. The man later told the community that the 777 code had not just changed his finances, it had changed his entire life. His marriage improved. His children flourished. His relationship with God deepened. Financial transformation, he learned, was just the beginning. This same transformation is available to you. The code has not changed. The principles are eternal. What worked for the Essenes 2,000 years ago will work for you today. If you are ready for complete transformation, the 21-day protocol is waiting. The Essene Wealth Code will guide you through each step of the 777 code. The link is in the description. Before you leave, type one more time, I follow the 7. Let this be your commitment. The code has been revealed. The caves have spoken. Now it is time for you to act. My brothers and sisters in the light, the 777 code is now yours. 7 acts of release, 7 declarations of abundance, 7 practices of stewardship. This is the complete system that kept the Essene community free from poverty for 200 years. Do not let this be just another video you watched and forgot. Take the code, write it down. Begin the 7 acts of release today, not tomorrow, today. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob bless you with the fullness of the 777. May release clear every blockage. May declaration fill every empty space with truth. May stewardship secure your financial future for generations. Go in peace. Go in power. Go in prosperity. Until next time, this is Rabbi Enoch, keeper of the scrolls, servant of the light. Shalom.